Visa and Solana teaming up, but the markets didn't care. Why couldn't this happen during the bull market? It's around the blockchain. Thank you for joining, everybody. We got a first-time guest on today, so make sure you hit that like button. We're going to start in the top left with Scott Melker holding it down in the green zone. Scott, how are you doing today?
Feeling good in the green zone. It feels like a good omen of victory, to be honest.
Ooh, all right. Hey, shots fired already. Also on today, we have Piano, Matty B. Piano, you've changed up the background. What's going on here?
Yeah, well, I'm back behind the maple curtain in here in Canada. My days as a pickleball pro down at Camp Crystal Lake are over, so I'm back in Canada. How are you doing?
Okay, I'm doing good. All right, so we got from the mental hospital to the beach, and what would you call this in one word?
This is kind of like that cabin in the woods. I don't want to really touch
now we're in the cabin. All right, now we're in the cabin. Also on today, we have the CryptoHound. CryptoHound, any good alts you've been sniffing lately?
Oh, always. I kind of had a feeling like an epiphany that what if Pepe, that altcoin, led the next bull market, or at least inflated with everything else, and then proved us all wrong.
I'll tell you who wouldn't like that, and that's the ADL. And then last but not least, we have Jackie. Jackie, first time on today. Jackie, how are you doing today?
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, well, let's get right into Bitcoin Elementary. We're talking about El Salvador. It looks like they're branching out, and they're going to start putting Bitcoin on the official curriculum of the El Salvadorian public school system. It's by the MPB. It's Mi Primer Bitcoin, my primary Bitcoin, my first Bitcoin, and then teaming up with the El Salvadorian Ministry of Education. It's going to be a Bitcoin diploma, but they're starting with the teachers. So right now they're training up the teachers. Looks like they got about 150 public school teachers representing about 75 different public schools in the country there, and they're just giving them the base knowledge of Bitcoin there. And they say there's about 25,000 students in El Salvador have already learned about Bitcoin via the school there. And the founder of Mi Primero Bitcoin, my first Bitcoin, said there's already early talks with 2 other governments in Latin America. Now, Scott, this feels big, but then I think about the state of education. Given the state of education, would these kids just be better off teaching themselves from YouTube?
I mean, maybe. I think that there's a fair point there, but anything that a government does to actually educate their children and their students on financial education is huge because, frankly, we do none of it. You can't even figure out how to balance a checkbook, pay a credit card, use QuickBooks, don't understand what interest is or GDP. None of those things are taught in our schools, and it seems like it's purposeful. They want you to stay poor and compliant, to be quite frank. So teaching about Bitcoin is about 10 levels ahead of anything that we're doing in the United States. I'm definitely here for it. Listen, the El Salvador experiment, a lot of people are down on it because nothing happened faster, but I think that was really what you should have anticipated, a nation state adoption of Bitcoin for the very first time. What's really inspiring here is that they're following through. It's years later. They haven't given up. They're still making money doing this. They're still working on mining. The volcano bonds are now successful. And now they're actually going to teach their children about this asset so that it doesn't just fall on its face and get lost in the Chivo wallet. I think that this is actually a huge step for future adoption. It shouldn't matter at all for price, but it is a roadmap for other countries.
All right. Great takes there. And, just good summation. It is overall, obviously, this is going to be a pretty great thing, I think, in the long run. Now, Piano Matty B, I think about Trudeau and what has happened to the Canadian education system. I'm wondering, besides Bitcoin, what life skills are they lacking north of the border? Scott, he gave an American, they don't teach us how to balance a checkbook, don't really tell us how to pay bills. What are they missing in the Canadian system?
Oh man, this is an interesting topic because I come from a long line of indoctrination camp workers / teachers. My whole family are, educators, and make no mistake, they mean well. They take their job seriously and they're good at their job. However, by the time they get out of their pre-indoctrination camp, aka a college, university, they're just teaching a curriculum and they cannot stray from the curriculum. For instance, I told my niece who's 14, ask your teacher, it's called social studies up here. And that's where you'll get a little bit of economic know-how. But much like how to write a check and how to start a bank account, maybe if you're lucky, I said, ask her about Bitcoin. If you could maybe talk to her in the class about Bitcoin, because she's 14, she knows a lot about Bitcoin, more than most kids, and the teacher just flat out shut her down. We will not be teaching Bitcoin in this classroom. Amazing.
All right. Well, did you go to the school board meeting after that? I say we film it. Let's go undercover, maybe.
Yeah.
Play
No
the
doubt.
piano. Bring a little Cassie. I think it'd be a good thing. All right, now, CryptoHound, I'm asking you this because, I'm just judging here, guessing here. You might be the youngest of the 4 panelists here. I want to ask you, what is the students' reaction going to be in El Salvador? Is this going to push them in favor of Bitcoin or push them away from Bitcoin? Is it that cool when the math teacher says, wag me?
True. I think it's a great start. I definitely think this is for future generations. There definitely will be a laggard in when they'll be able to development, but just as a country to come out and say this, it just we've been talking about how the US is lagging behind all these other countries in the crypto sphere. And now that El Salvador keeps on making these steps during a bear market is when everything happens, but all the attention is looking another way. So I think this is great. The US, I did just find out that they do offer college courses in crypto now, which is beneficial. But like piano or like Scott was saying, you got to start earlier. Even just balance sheets and assets and managing what you will make in the future is not something they teach in elementary school, middle school. So overall, hopefully all around the world can live up to this standard sooner than later. But it's a great start, and it's a great news outlet on crypto in total.
Let's hope they have better Bitcoin educators than Gary Gensler from Stanford. I think he was teaching that. All right, now, Jackie, no, MIT. Jackie, final question on this topic. If you were teaching about Bitcoin, what is the main aspect that you would put on the curriculum? Would you talk about, the tokenomics, the 21 million? Would you talk about the halving? Would you talk about inflation, its relation to fiat? How to mine it? What would you focus on primarily?
I think, especially by the time kids start to use it and really use it in their form of currency, the biggest aspect that we're going to have to focus on is just decentralization. The fact that not one governing body is the one in control of it, the fact that they can't manipulate the supply, and all of the lessons that trickle down from there. So it being a global currency, not having to use a slow bank, and how it can, with ordinals and things like that, start to represent something like NFTs, the title of their home, store data on the blockchain, healthcare. I mean, the potential is really limitless for them, but understanding that there isn't one person in charge with his little, totem just in charge of everything and manipulating everything like a government.
I thought Satoshi was the CEO. That's what a Twitter post said. Was I incorrect in that?
I believe we can call him. His number's somewhere.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll find those old Bitcoin forum things. Is he from England? Who really actually knows what's happening with that? All right. Well, let's talk about the shocking Matic partner. I do want to give a shout out to our partner, Link2. Link2, you can invest as an accredited investor. Guys, I'm going to try to look into it to invest into Ripple Labs. I might try to film that, show you guys how to do it. But let's talk about Matic and the G-Shock. That's right, the little watch. We actually have a couple pictures of the watch. No, that's the world's ugliest one. No, wait, whoa, that's way better. That's the Fisher-Price, my G-Shock right there. I think Dora was wearing that one as she was like running from Mexican weasels, or I don't know what that cartoon does. But anyways, Japanese electronics giant Casio, they just partnered with Polygon. Everybody's partners with Polygon. Some say it's the new Chainlink. The Creator Pass is what the NFT is going to be. So you mint your little watch Creator Pass. There's going to be about 15,000 of them. And it doesn't give you a watch yet. Maybe it will. We haven't seen the full roadmap, but they confirmed that it'll give you access to a Discord server. Is that fun and exciting for you? Like I said, about 15,000 of them. It starts September 23rd. I looked at Polygon's news. It spiked a little bit. I think it's up about 5%. I looked at their all-time high. They're down over 80%, despite the 5% pump there. Now, Scott, you almost look like a Casio guy. I don't know if you are or not. You just seem like you might have a Casio. Is this a cash grab by Casio, or is this just maybe a cool way to develop a Web3 community?
Well, if it's a cash grab by Casio, then they're going to have fun staying poor because there's going to be no cash in doing this. Obviously, they're not going to make any money with this. I had a Casio keyboard in the 80s. That thing was awesome. So you are accurate that I am a Casio guy in that regard. I mean, listen, like if I was opening it, if there was a new supersized item and it was first on the menu at a new chain called Nothing Burger, this would probably be it. Matic has partnerships with Instagram, huge companies. I mean, Casio is absolutely forgettable. We're in the depths of the bear market. It's only important in that we're seeing further adoption of NFTs and the potential of these things. But this is going to be completely forgotten by tomorrow. It's going to be just another partnership. But frankly, that's a good thing. I would like every single one of these announcements to just become par for the course. Just another day's work, just another day in NFTs, because every single company will eventually adopt some sort of either a rewards program or some sort of community-driven aspect that does use NFTs. So it's a step in the right direction, but in this market, there was no chance that Matic was going to pump as a result. Obviously, as we've seen, I mean, literally, Grayscale can win a case against the SEC, and that retraces in 2 days. I don't think the news that the G-Shock, G-Spot watches are going to come to NFTs is going to help us, Eddie.
All right. One more point for hitting the spot there. Piano Matty B. One, I'm interested. What are your thoughts on Casio? And really, what are your thoughts on Matic's price action? Scott's bringing up a good point. You know, part of it's depths of a bear market. But Polygon, you know, they are the future L2. They're the L2s of all L2s. They got partnerships with all the Fortune 500 companies. It feels like if they're talking to anything in the blockchain, they're talking to Polygon more than likely. How come the price isn't moving?
Well, I agree with Scott. We're in the depths, the deep bear market here where nothing seems to even juggle the balls. It's like you could, no matter what comes out in the news, nothing really moves. I don't think anything will. It makes me think that maybe this is the low end of the totem pole for the Matic announcements. It's like, well, we'll just get this Casio thing out here while no one's really looking because it's not going to do anything anyway. Then they just put it out. But I have the one thing I have to disagree with Scott is I'm a Roland guy. I'm not really a Casio guy. I just don't think it sounds that great. Casio thing.
Could we pull up the green one more time, Owen? Now, Piano Matty B, you're going to tell me this green watch isn't, you know, everything and, you know, just the watch to end all watches?
Well, it reminds me of my Swatch watch I had in 1988, but I would still rather have the Swatch watch.
All right. Probably a lot of people too. All right, now, CryptoHound, I want to ask you, you know, I hear the utility. It's a Discord server, you know, exclusive access. It's really not wet in my beak here. Does this need a physical redemption for it to be cool? Or is it just cool enough to have one of the first watches in a metaverse?
I was thinking the same thing actually before you asked me the question. So usually the utility is it's 1-to-1. There's a watch to every NFT.
Yeah.
So you'll get an actual watch and then you'll get an NFT with it. So there's value behind the NFT because you have the watch. It's a collector's item at that point. But there's also, if you look in the NFT space, you have different colors. Like the value of the NFT is based on the different characteristics. So will Casio's be, what's the rarity of the NFT for Casio watches? Is it the different colors? Like what's making one NFT more valuable than the other? I don't really see it there. So why you would get that green watch over getting the Dora Explorer watch? Which one's going to be more profitable in the long run? It's tough to choose. So like Piano Matty B said, maybe not a lot of attention gets grabbed onto it, but still making an NFT is still beneficial for Casio. It's getting different kind of publicity out there into the crypto world. They're kind of reaching a different market. Like we're saying, we're comparing these watches to old school watches. So maybe it's bringing it back, making it more relevant in this new age.
All right. Well, if I got to burn the NFT for the physical redemption and it looks like the green one, it's probably going to stay on the metaverse. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying it's ugly. All right. Now, Jackie, you know, I'm kind of interested. What are your thoughts about Polygon? Is Polygon going to stick around for the long haul? They're making all the right partnerships. And then second question, who's their main competitor? They're an L2. They almost act like an L1 at times.
I do really like Polygon. I think that probably in terms of marketing, partnerships, and just staying in the public eye that Solana and Polygon are kind of neck and neck. They really come up often. You're constantly seeing them in the news. So I would say that those two really do compete for kind of the same notoriety, and they do go out and make these partnerships with kind of like Casio is an odd thing, right? But I think that they're definitely their closest competitor, and I do like it though. I like, just like Scott was saying, I hope this stays like relevant news. I hope that every single day we wake up to a new partnership, another Visa, another MasterCard, an American Express, Canon, whatever company is interested in forming NFTs. But I have to agree with the general sentiment that an NFT for no real watch kind of just adds to more of this whole like, well, what is crypto? And it's difficult for people to understand.
Yeah. If you had $100 parked in Solana or Polygon, you can't touch it for 2 years. Where are you parking your $100?
Only because if you spell Solana backwards, it's anal OS, and it seems to be getting hacked on a regular basis.
Okay.
I would keep it in Polygon.
All right. Well, 3 points for that candid answer right there. All right, let's talk about Visa and Solana. Speaking of the OS, to end all the OSs. All right, well, there is a, pretty big payment company. You've heard of them, Visa. They're partnering with Solana for a stable coin, everybody. It's going to be a stablecoin settlement capabilities, and they're partnering with Circle, of course, Circle and USDC. They revealed live and completed pilots with issuers and acquirers, and they've moved millions across ETH and Solana blockchain so far to settle payments. They began experimenting back in 2021 with Circle. Visa did with Crypto.com initially. So they first were partnering with them. Also has some credit card partnerships as well. And then this expected, here's what they're going to say, is going to decrease settlement time for the merchants. It's going to be a good thing, everybody. Now, we could talk about Solana. Jackie, I'm going to throw it back to you one more time. Solana, we threw some shots out at Solana just now, but there's a lot of people saying this is definitely going to hit all-time highs again. What are your thoughts on that? It's over a 10x from here. I think it's around $20. They went all the way up to about 250. Can Solana hit an all-time high given what happened with FTX, given what's happened with the ecosystem, and given, like you said, it's shut down, over a dozen times, I think, at this point?
At the end of the day, I think it's comparable to something like Doge. Their community and their fan base is really, really strong. And I think ultimately that will get you through every winter, every time, if your community is willing to just have your back and not sell. The rest of it will take care of itself. The fact that Solana is still very affordable to people who are new to the crypto space, people who don't understand you can buy Satoshis or part of Ethereum coins, and they say, oh, well, I want to own 150 Solana. I don't just want to own, 0.0001 Bitcoin. So I think Solana is affordable. I think it can do it easily. I think it'll go up and beyond.
All right. Now, Scott, I have a pretty big question here. It's going to kind of, maybe a little game theory in the mix here. Do you think there will ever be a day when Visa decides to custody Bitcoin, given their cash reserves and given what maybe other Fortune 500 CEOs are doing? No.
First of all, I thought that anal OS was going to be a point for and not a point against, and I'm massively disappointed that was why she chose Matic, because I thought that was all roads leading to Solana.
I thought the same.
No,
too. I thought the same.
Yeah, honestly, I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. But honestly, I don't think that they'll custody it. No, I think that that's dumb. But I do think that Bank of New York, Mellon, and State Street, all the huge custodians in the world, will be custodying crypto assets, of course, especially as we see the BlackRocks of the world coming into the crypto space. This will become a custodied asset just like anything else. Now, what I think we could see with their cash reserves, and maybe this is the question that's worth asking, will we see Bitcoin on their balance sheet, like MicroStrategy, Tesla, or Square? Will they take some of that reserve and will they invest that in Bitcoin as an inflation hedge or to stabilize their balance sheet? I think that's something we could definitely see in the future once they finally change the accounting rules to make it more favorable for companies to actually put Bitcoin and other assets on their balance sheet. No, I don't think they'll custody it. But yet again, listen, this is another menu on the item on the menu at Nothing Burger, clearly. Right. I mean, USDC is going to be used, whether through Solana, Ethereum, some unknown blockchain that may come in the future. That doesn't really matter. But these are, once again, more steps towards mainstream adoption and things that will be much further hyped in the bull market after we build through this bear. So I think it is big news, just once again, not for price. And we will go to all-time highs.
Some say BlackRock writes our bills. Will they write that into a bill in the near future? Make it a little bit easier to, maybe hold some on a balance sheet?
I think that they say that there's 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. I think there's 4, and the 4th is BlackRock, right? And it might actually be all 3 of the other ones as well. So BlackRock's going to do whatever the fuck BlackRock wants to do in this case. So yes, I do think that if there are things that are prohibitive to BlackRock making money, they will find ways to get that written into legislation, or just give a little nudge to the regulators and tell them to back off.
It's a little simplistic, but I also like the 3 branches: Raytheon, Pfizer, BlackRock. Also fits pretty well there. All right, now I want to ask you, Piano Matty B, kind of looking from your 40,000-foot aerial view, aka you're north of me in Canada. We got USDC, we have Solana, and we have Visa. Of those 3 people, who is the biggest winner?
Well, the crypto enthusiast in me wants to say Sol, just for the notoriety it may get by its acceptance from these massive businesses that are just the normies know about. Like, they don't know about Sol, but they know about Visa. USDC probably comes after Sol. But I like the fact that it's getting that notoriety, and maybe in the future, Sol will be a household name, in 5 to 10 years. Now, I have arguments about Sol all the time because it's so beaten down. Everyone hates Sol right now. And every time everyone hates something, man, I just kind of find it a little more attractive.
All right. Yeah, it's giving me a little bit of warm and fuzzy, just like that picture in the top right of your room. I don't know, sharp-eyed viewers might be able to make out the rest of that. Yeah. I heard he's on the 4th floor with the Asian gangs. I don't know if that's true or not. Now, CryptoHound. Last question here. One, I am interested in what your thoughts on Solana are, just broadly speaking. And also, when there's mass adoption and we're using Solana, we're using USDC, and everything's happening with the Visa card, will your aunt, grandmother, whomever, will they even know they're using crypto?
No, I don't think they will know. And Solana in general, I was thinking just with when everyone else was talking, we've had issues once the collapse of the market and the bull market was over, of your USDT, your USDC depegging from 1-to-1. So now you're tying Solana to a stable coin. And what are they backed by? I feel like it's a higher risk for being depegged than other cryptos. And I bet you're pretty bummed that it wasn't Chainlink first that got this media news. But Solana lost a lot of developers, I heard.
Yep.
And that at this time, of course, cutting back, economy's rough. I don't know if it will break all-time highs again. It'll definitely go up when everything else goes up. But will it have the same strength and those big hedge funds that came in and drove the price from $40 to $200 the last run? I don't know, but this is still a bullish news case in a bear market. But like Scott said too, this could be one after the other of just, okay, Solana partnered with them, Chainlink partnered with Visa, where you can use multiple different cryptos to settle these transactions.
Yeah, good old CCIP. Yeah.
CCIP?
Yeah, the cross-chain interoperability protocol by Chainlink. But yeah, it's an interesting point there. Yeah, on one end, we have Chainlink, MasterCard, and then on the other end, we have Visa and Solana. Maybe a little bit of a battle growing. If I had to guess, Chainlink would just incorporate Solana more quickly than Solana will incorporate Chainlink. But I think that is all we have time for today. And it was a close one. Scott Melker, he ended up taking it there. Now, Scott, feel free. Leave us with some parting thoughts. Mike is yours.
Yeah, 2015, 2019, 2023. What are the similarities? Every 4 years, this shit happens. Guys, don't get bummed. This is the year before the halving. A year from now, you could have fallen on your head, gone into a coma, woken up into a zombie apocalypse, looked back and said, holy shit, I could have ignored the last 3 years. Everything's the same and prices are up. I didn't care about macro, the Fed, Powell, any of these stories that we're talking about right now. It's always this way the year before the halving. Do not capitulate just because time has passed and you're getting bored.
If you ask me, 4-year cycle is still king, folks. Listen to that man. He knows what he's talking about. That's all we got time for. Make sure you check the links in the description. We got Scott's, we got Matty's, we got Jackie's, we got Hounds as well. Make sure you click those. Make sure you sub to all their content. Also, another shout out to Link2. That's all we got time for today. Hit that like button, everyone. Peace out.